Happy Tuesday, September 29, 2020. It is National Coffee Day, so be sure to have a mug.
National Coffee Day, huh?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Salute.
It seems now like, salute. There seems like there's a national day for everything. Like it's,
I'd rather have the fun.
Yeah.
National Sons Day, National Coffee
They
Day,
had National Daughters Day last week. Yeah, it's just I never realized that there is like almost every day there's something for
everyone.
Somebody. Yeah, so it's cool. 1493, Columbus leaves Cadiz, Spain for the second voyage to the New World. 1513, Spanish explorer Vasco Núñez de Balboa discovers the Pacific Ocean. 1789, Congress votes to create a U.S. Army. 1850, Mormon leader Brigham Young is named first governor of Utah Territory. 1941, 30,000 Jews are gunned down in Kiev when Himmler sends 4 strike squads to exterminate Soviet Jews and other undesirables. 1943, Mein Kampf is published in the USA. 1966, Chevrolet introduces the Camaro, which will become an iconic car line.
What year?
1966. 2008, the Dow Jones plummets 777.68 points in the largest single-day plummet. Today's birthdays, we have 1935, the killer Jerry Lee Lewis. And in 1948, newscaster Bryant Gumbel. And that's
the real sports guy?
Bryant Gumbel?
Yeah, real sports with
his
Bryant
brother
Gumbel.
is Greg Gumbel. He does sports. Bryant's like does like morning shows.
He didn't have a show, Real Sports?
Oh yeah, he did, but
HBO?
he does have real, but like he's been, a quarter of his career has been sports, and like up until like recently, he was always like a morning show guy. I think he did the Today Show or something like that from like the 80s on. I mean, he's been around for a while, but his brother is Greg Gumbel. And he does sports, more sports. But you're right, he does have like a...
I always remember seeing that show, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, so...
I wonder if it's still on, is it?
I don't know. Bryant Gumbel was... He's like an abrasive character. He rubs some people the wrong way. I prefer... Greg I always found to be a little more pleasant than Bryant, but I thought that show was good, though, that Bryant had, the sports show. It was interesting. So.
It was more like a political-based show, right?
Well, it's like outside the lines. It's not really about the actual game. It's like what the athlete struggled with on the,
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I sent you something interesting. We were kind of discussing the other day as far as whether, who built the pyramids and whether aliens came to Earth and constructed things ahead of time, that we humans never really have an exact way that certain things were constructed in ancient times. So I found it interesting. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, and I know you had seen it already prior to sending it to you, but it was a guy, I believe, in Michigan who he was a former construction worker, and he found ways to move, tremendous stones the size of Stonehenge and get them to stand up straight, and he used no machinery. He just used certain
leverage.
Now, this is where
I still don't think that proves anything, though.
So I was going to ask you, what's your take on all those old...
What I would say, I was going to text you, but I figured we'd save it for now.
Yeah, sure.
Is like if you look at something like Easter Island, those heads.
Yes. Yep.
Those are connected to whole bodies.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, below the surface.
They're like 50 feet tall.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And they weigh an obscene amount. And that's an island.
I know. Well, that's the thing I was going to say. The guy was able to stand things up, but he had to use machinery to get those stones to that location.
Also, I think with the pyramids, like, you would need a ramp. I know Graham Hancock talked about that before. And to get to the height of the top of the pyramid, you would need a ramp it can't be like this. Right. It has to be like a gradual incline. Yeah. And it would be such a large ramp that it would still exist today. Yeah. There would be a ruin of it.
It's an incredible... Just the mathematics involved too.
They probably Romans, I would imagine, like they probably use that leverage technology.
Yeah,
it's not to say that.
No, I'm sure they had, but
it's unknown.
The mathematics that when we say that people in those times, a lot of times you think of like ancient people and how much how well advanced we are nowadays. The mathematics that are used in making those pyramids and making other ruins, it's incredible.
It really is.
The thought that's used in order to have them facing the sun a certain way, and a lot of them are based on religious, things, and based off of like stars and everything. It's fascinating.
Well, it is fascinating, especially that they, like you said, like based off of star systems and stuff.
Yep.
They didn't even have telescopes.
It's amazing.
I mean,
it's amazing.
All those years ago, anyway.
Well, that's what I wonder. It's hard to. That's where the issue comes up, where a lot of people think that there's a school of thought that it was aliens that came to Earth and had visited Earth to construct some of these things or instruct the ancients how to make them. I don't really, I'm still learning just like everybody else as to the more items that come out as far as how they were built. I try to follow it, but it was interesting to see this guy use that leverage. He's pretty smart the way he was figuring all the angles, and I wouldn't be able to do that. So
you never know. It's tough to say.
That was his line of work. He was a construction worker. So again, if you're around it your whole life, you never know. You're right. You never know. But I do think the ancient structures. You know what else really fascinates me is the Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
That's sheer size, it's tremendous. The thing is, though, with
the whole country.
Yeah,
a huge portion.
Yeah, a huge portion of it. And the thing is with that, though, is that it took like dynasties to build. It wasn't just built in like a 10-year period. It was
like a
hundreds of years,
multi-hundred-year project.
Hundreds, yes, crazy. So
and also there's a lot of dead bodies in the wall.
There's a lot of dead bodies in the Verrazano Bridge too.
Yeah.
Building it,
But I think in the Great Wall of China, like some of them are visible.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's like people like frozen in cement, or whatever they used.
Wow. That just always fascinated me, the Great Wall. China in general.
The terracotta armies.
Yes, those are cool.
That's
too.
crazy.
Yep.
They were buried with thousands of troops.
Of them. Yes.
For the afterlife.
Insane. What a job that would have been to be an archaeologist in the old days, say like the late 1800s when they first accessed the inside of the pyramids.
Jones.
Right.
Yeah.
Now those pyramids have been entered several times, hundreds of times probably. So
there was a guy though who one of the first that went into Tut's tomb.
Yes.
King Tut.
Yep.
There was the curse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly.
No, I've heard.
He ended up having like a serious couple issues after that.
Yep.
Which is pretty creepy.
What a job though to be the first modern person to actually access the inside of these ancient structures and see what's in there. Because you don't know. I mean, now people know what you're going to find in a lot of them, and a lot of them turn up to be really nothing. Famous example was when this isn't ancient.
Geraldo?
I was going to say, but that was more of a modern, But it's to access the pyramids or the pyramids in say Mexico and things like that. What a job that would be. Incredible. And they don't usually turn up to. A lot of times they're disappointed, but those Easter Island statues that you talked about, I find it incredible how they're just, you think it's just the head, and then below the surface, like you said,
it's a 50-foot tall giant structure.
It's like an iceberg, where like you think the iceberg is just what's above the water, but it's really what's below. It's insane. So very interesting.
I think the most compelling evidence, though, that I've ever heard, like if you want to even just take aliens out of the picture, is we just had an asteroidal impact that totally took us from like a type 2 civilization possibly back to cavemen.
Yep.
That's what seems to be like what actually happened. The most evidence points to that.
Well, that's the thing, right, is there's civilization has hit the reset button in the course of man.
The saying is, humans have amnesia.
Yeah.
To their past.
I just wonder how advanced they got.
Well, one thing that always blew my mind is when Graham Hancock said maybe they were so advanced that they didn't have a use for plastic.
Right.
Think about how advanced it, like, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Everything that you look at is plastic.
Yeah. Well,
that's plastic, this is plastic, this is plastic, that's plastic.
Plastic,
you know what I mean?
is definitely one of the,
it's a cancer.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a terrible mark of humanity.
But that's what, like Michael Shermer was saying, is like, well, how come there's no, like relics or anything like around Göbekli Tepe that would, maybe they didn't need it.
I don't know. I just don't, I totally subscribe to that humanity. I watched an interesting program on what would happen if a meteor or an asteroid or whatever hit the Earth at a force where it would basically wipe out civilization
98% of life.
And to think that never happened, and especially when there's physical evidence of it, look what happened with just COVID.
You're right.
I remember when that hurricane hit a few years ago, and
Sandy?
it was gas line, and it's like you literally go from living your life normally, and in a snap of a finger, so to think, what one of these,
and also the carnage was like instantaneous.
Yeah, sure. And it continued. It was instantaneous, and there was waves of it.
What is interesting is I've heard like Australia and Africa have some of the most like biodiverse animals and stuff. More than likely, the reason for that is because those areas were spared during the fallout. So more animals from that time were alive and evolved.
Yeah, North America seemed to be, they
got destroyed.
Yeah,
North,
Central
Mexico,
America,
South,
just seemed to you're getting buzzed like crazy. But it's just very interesting. But to think that never occurred is there's so much evidence now, especially like you said, Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock pointed out. But if something like that happened, I'm convinced now when I see these things, especially with COVID, how literally civilization can just
stop and change.
Just shut.
Yeah.
So if something hits the earth that devastates it in any way, you'd be crazy to think that civilization wouldn't have to just restart, especially if it's as widespread as when the asteroids
I think
hit.
that's also where religious texts come from. I think it comes because a lot of the story, like it's easy to be
after the reset.
After the reset, there were some people who were left,
right,
and all they could do is tell you the story of what happened,
right,
how it happened, and what they remember from before. And they probably had no paper. You know what I mean? So it was all oratory stories passed down for hundreds, if not thousands, of years, then written.
That. Think about being one of those people that survived.
It's almost too complex to even imagine. Right?
Like the entire civilization's wiped out, and there's just scattered survivors around, and it's just amazing to think of it. But the architecture, what I find also very interesting though was the architecture from the ancient times that are still around. Like you see some, not just the Colosseum in Rome, but you see them in North Africa, you see them in various places. Survive that long, it's just incredible craftsmanship. The Roman roads that they find some all the way into Britain. It's just incredible.
When you look at what we have over here, pretty much all we'd have left would be Mount Rushmore, if that. Because it's just carved into stone.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things that are actually...
In America, in North America, you mean? Yeah.
Well, let's just say America. I don't know what they have in Canada or Mexico, but...
Well, Mexico, you have the pyramids and stuff.
Right.
I don't know how...
Stone tends to last.
Yeah. Yeah. Those... That's interesting, too, when they're in the middle of the rainforest or the jungles and they come across these pyramids and...
The rainforest is no joke.
Southeast Asia is another place where you could find a lot of,
Cambodia.
Yeah.
Did you ever see those like weird Buddhist statues and stuff like in the middle of a river?
So fascinating. I love that stuff. I really do. It's just fascinating. And to access it, it's so difficult because you're going through such dense vegetation and the insects and the heat is so oppressive. But they to build these grand structures in these areas. I mean, granted, back then, who knows what the geography
Think of
was
it
like,
if, though, like, they didn't have the technology we're assuming they had.
Yeah.
There must have been a really good reason for them to want to undertake such a huge project. Like, when you look at what the Earth's population was, like, let's say 500 years ago.
Right.
What was it 5,000 years ago?
Well,
How many people were, they don't even really know.
the two main reasons why these things were built, one was to appease the gods.
Right.
The other one is, especially in China, protection. The leaders instruct you, listen, to protect invasion from the Mongols, we'll build the Great Wall of China. And that's what that's why it stretches as far as it does. And you have the guard towers. I mean, it's not that high, the wall in some parts, but you have
It's enough.
Yeah, you have the guard towers, and it's,
Even if you're, like, at a private beach and there's a little jetty,
yeah.
it's not easy to get
No,
over,
no.
So those things are effective.
Yeah, but that's it's almost like the border wall that Trump wants to,
All the Great Wall, right?
Just to build that, though. I mean, and there was a real the Mongols were vicious, boy. They invaded. You were going down, so that was why they had
One
to
little
build something.
story I find really cool is the story from like 2 or 3 years ago. A Christian missionary from the U.S. went to North Sentinel Island.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever heard of that island?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Sentinelese.
Yes.
They
Yep.
are untapped by humanity.
Yeah.
They're protected by the Indian government. And they're cannibals, and they throw spears, and not that doesn't exist, but these people are like pure.
Yeah.
Like they really don't get messed with.
Yep. You got to be
And
very careful with those
They
people.
got that guy, they shot him with arrows, and
Yeah.
they dragged him into the woods.
Yeah, well,
Isn't that, imagine? It's scary enough thing about getting eaten by an animal. Think about if it was a bunch of dudes and ladies and children.
Yeah, the in Guyana or New Guinea, I guess that's how it's pronounced. I shouldn't say Guyana because Guyana's in South America, but New Guinea, the little island in the Pacific, there was reports of
Oh
cannibalism.
yeah, Papua New Guinea.
The thing is, though, when they actually went and they interviewed a lot of the people over there, and they found that the people you're talking about, no question, because that's just an untapped.
They're
But
like,
in Papua New Guinea, the cannibalism was more ritualistic, and it was more, there's very few of them that still practice it. But to find people that you were talking about that is just untapped.
they also exist in the South American rainforest.
Yes.
Which
am
blows my mind.
fascinated by
Yeah.
those types of people.
I was in
Fascinated.
contact with this program when I was down there.
Yeah.
It's this tribe called the Ashwar. Mm-hmm. And they are different. Their hearts beat at a different rate. They're
Yeah,
just
it's incredible.
totally,
You're touching
totally
history
primal
when you
human.
talk to those
Yeah.
people. You really are. You're going back in time. It's fascinating. The big issue is you got to watch out because you don't want to infect them with anything that they're in.
Right.
Their immune systems are weak. Not weak, but they're not compatible to the diseases that modern man has. So it's very dangerous. That's why they really protect them. It's not so much for our protection; it's for their protection because.
It's interesting to see, though, who's chipping away at their rainforest. It's mainly China. They have a lot of massive protests down there against the Chinese government.
In South America?
Yeah, because they just want to chop that down and grow, and first of all have oil fields and soybean farms. So they destroy the rainforest just for that. A lot of people think it's us. A lot of people think but it's not. I was there.
Yeah.
I know who they were mad at. It wasn't
Yeah.
the United States wasn't even a thought.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. All they cared about was the better-looking chicks from California or New York. That's all they think of in America.
Yeah.
They don't know.
That's important to know that, though, because
a lot of people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, and it's so if you're going down to Ecuador, their feeling on America is what? What did the youth in Ecuador? How did they view America?
Gringos.
Right.
It's very harmless. Like it's not there's no like animosity. There's no like. Then they compare like English people to Americans, and like they try to decipher who's cooler.
Oh, okay. What's their take on that?
I think they think that Americans are cooler.
Yeah. What do they like about Americans? Like, what's their... Like, I like the English accent. When I think of British people, I love their accents. I love certain things.
I think America just has that reputation of being America.
Yeah.
I think America's name is
I
weird.
just wonder, I'd love to view an American through their eyes and see what their expectations of an American are. Is it this brash, loud, like,
Yes.
that's what they think we all are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the world thinks that.
Yeah.
But we also make ourselves look like that on a regular basis.
Yes. Yes.
So it's kind of like whatever. But they don't have a problem with us, I would say.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
Well, you don't see a lot of countries trying to copy Chinese pop culture. You see a lot of countries trying to copy American pop culture.
although K-pop is becoming a thing,
well, that's Korea,
which
but
is
yes,
pretty strange.
It is. It is. But that.
Not even close to what we
Well,
do.
what's K-pop?
It's kind of like a rip-off of American
Correct.
stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So it's it's
strange.
copying the boy bands in America. It's superseding it now, though. It's just like when the English copied the American blues. I mean, it's very it's a similar, but it's huge.
Fortunately, though, what makes America really cool, though, is that it is a nation of immigrants.
Yes.
And
See, that's the thing too. Do they view America? When they think of America, do they view it as like all different?
I think that's why there's so much unrest over immigration.
Right.
Because I think that the world recognizes America as being a place for immigrants.
Mm.
And when we're a little bit more closed off to it, I
Yeah.
think the world kind of is like, hey, you're not meeting up to your end of the bargain, you know?
Yeah, I just
It's a
wonder
difficult-
if they view like a white cowboy as an American, or
Definitely.
yeah,
John Wayne,
Yeah.
like, for
You know.
sure.
but it's just as likely to have an inner city rapper, like it's,
Right. Which they all, that's caught on down there, hip-hop culture, for sure.
It has, okay.
But it's Hispanic rap. It's a
Yeah.
little bit different.
Yeah.
It's a little more, I
Reggaeton.
don't know if it's like romantic. No, the beats are very similar and like it's very, but also like
Well, American rock, like metal,
that's huge down there.
huge,
Big.
huge.
American punk.
Oh,
There's this
really?
Mexican band called Molotov. You ever hear of them?
No.
They have famous hits such as Chinga Tu Madre,
Okay.
which
No.
basically means like your mom, They're like
Wow.
they're like, you ever see the band The Casualties?
No.
Like the long spikes in their hair and stuff, like the real punk. They're like
That's what
that.
they're like,
the
yeah.
Mexican version of that.
You go down
It's
to
actually cool.
You go down to like Brazil or Argentina or whatever. The like Iron Maiden and bands of that,
Huge.
there are
Ramones.
massive.
Argentina, I think the Ramones are the most popular group.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, like Marky Ramone still goes down there and
Yeah.
plays like Lollapalooza size festivals.
Yeah.
With just him.
I
You know what I
believe
mean?
it's incredible. Like that's the thing people don't realize. If you're people, a lot of fans in America, like if you're not huge in America, then you're out. But like even
you can
like
make it somewhere else.
a band like Deep Purple in Japan,
Yeah,
they're
huge.
massive. They're
That's
massive
true.
still. But South America was always like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, like
Yep.
they
To this day, I'm
huge,
telling you, like I
huge.
never was a Queen fan.
Yeah.
Still not.
right.
I don't have a problem with them, but
Yeah, it's not. I get
it's
it.
not my cup of tea. I
Sure.
do like that Brian May though is a scientist. That's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah,
But when you go down there, it's like Queen just came out.
yeah, right.
Like they just dropped
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Amazing.
It is cool.
Yeah, I remember, watching some of the tours, especially back in the '80s when you get like a bootleg video of, and it was always like Rio or something, and you'd have just massive turnouts, and I just find it interesting though, like America's very, if it's not popular in
America has like a foggy aura
Yeah.
about it to
Yeah.
the rest of the world if
Sure.
you've never been here.
Yeah, right.
And it's New York and California.
Well, that's right.
All they know.
That's what
There's
they
no
know,
like
sure.
they don't know Kansas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's what always strikes the English groups when they used to come over in the '60s. They'd hit the big cities, but they always said traveling across America, we never those like little greasy spoon diners and stuff. Like, that's really America, and we never understood that. We always just thought it was these huge cities. And
tremendously fat people
Yeah,
on scooters
yeah,
with
yeah.
extra large sodas. That's a real thing that's caught on around the world.
Well,
Like if you go to like the Mall of America,
Yeah.
like or Vegas,
Yes.
the obesity rates are insane in this country.
Yeah. Well, it's,
Mexico has a major problem with that as well.
Mexico does, huh?
Yeah, with obesity, childhood obesity.
Yeah, you see it even when they come up here. A lot of
Some of them get real porked out.
Yeah.
It could be genetic.
Interesting.
Not that all of them do, but like
Yeah.
statistically they say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I've seen. I've had.
Not to rub anyone the wrong way. I don't mean
No.
that in an offensive way.
No, it's not to you just pointing out the stating the obvious.
I don't know many other countries
I don't know.
that actually have like a problem like that.
But I would agree. You see it down in Mexico, and you see it when they come up here. A lot of times, I don't know if it's what their diet consists of. Or,
When people say, "Oh, the fat Americans,"
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Do you think there's any truth to that?
well, I think statistically it's there.
It is
you
true.
can't argue with
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But I think.
What do you
like,
think about the ban on the large soda drinks? Remember that? I thought that was a little stupid.
Bloomberg did that?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Because you could just get 2 sodas.
I think that when the government, I just don't like the government banning anything like that. I just think
How come they didn't just say to like the soda companies, "Hey, do you think you could just use regular cane sugar instead of corn syrup?"
Yeah, I mean,
Rather
well,
than taking it out on the individual.
once you ban one thing, you're just opening, be it no matter what it is that you're banning. But once you start banning one thing, it's just opening the gate to do it again and again and again and again and
Yeah.
again, and that's what happens eventually. So I'm not in favor of it.
It's
Yeah.
tough. It really is tough.
I get what they're saying and doing, but if they're going to ban that, then I can name 50 other things that they should probably ban that would be helpful to people in general.
Yeah.
Ban cigarettes. Ban, you could ban, ban red meat. Ban, I'm just, whatever's
you're
considered
right.
bad.
You're right. Like,
Yeah.
there's a part of my brain that wants to like believe in what he was doing.
Yeah.
But then it's
Yeah,
like
I get it.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like,
it's dangerous.
bullshit, though.
You always have to look at.
It's the individual's choice
Right.
to determine what's good for them
Right.
and their life.
You always have to look when a decision like that is made. I never look at the short term. I always look at where could that potentially go now.
Do you think that produce and quality ingredients are, let's just say, too expensive? In your opinion?
In America?
Just in America, yeah. Because that's a huge argument, is that, quality
that's-
food is
yeah.
unattainable for poor people.
No, I think that's bullshit.
You do?
I do, because I find
True, because I'm poor and I always got carrots and
can
onions
eat
and celery.
whatever.
Right.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
In fact,
Go to
I've
the
taken
fucking
your
store.
brothers.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go. Say what you were gonna say.
No,
Keep
it's
going.
just I'm on the balls of my ass most
Right.
of my life,
Right.
and I'm able to, without even a car in some
Right.
instances, get to the store,
Mhm.
get vegetables, get decent meat, whatever, and come home and cook. People don't want to cook. People don't want to. I think that's a huge problem, actually, is that they don't teach people in school
Right.
how to, like, life skills.
Well, that's yeah.
Remember, like,
They tried
I
with
forget
home
where
and
I was
careers.
hearing this. They were talking about, like, home ec, and then there
Yeah.
was shop for the boys.
Yeah. I took home ec when I was in middle school.
I did too, but it
Uh-huh.
was, like, totally, like, stupid.
It was like
wasn't-
making a pillow and
Yeah,
stuff. Like it was
exactly. It had
useless
nothing
stuff.
to do.
Right. Wasn't
like, balance a checkbook,
Right,
cooking
right,
breakfast
right.
and stuff. That
Correct.
would have been, like, nice.
Absolutely.
In high school, I had Chef's Choice, though, in 11th grade.
Oh, that's good.
And it was cool. Like, I remember for the final presentation, I brought in ayoyo, which
Oh,
is
wow.
like the
Yeah,
linguine
yeah.
with garlic and oil.
Yeah.
And everybody went nuts. That was like the first like inklings that I was like a good
Yeah,
cook,
good
you know?
cook. But I think that's an interesting point you bring up, and you always hear that from it's poor people can't.
They have to eat McDonald's.
Yeah. It's
No, you don't.
When I've taken my family to McDonald's, it's a fortune.
It's
like,
expensive.
Damn.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I could spend $30 on a Taco Bell if I was drinking.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
It's a fortune.
It is.
So I don't buy that. That's a total fallacy.
maybe $20. But that's still a lot of
Yeah,
money for a
it
couple
is.
tacos
Yeah,
that suck.
Yeah.
They're not even good tacos.
When I've anytime I'll run out and get dinner for the kids and everybody, it's always a fortune, you know. And your mom says the same thing. It's a fortune to feed everybody.
The amount of money. All right, so for the past like month and a half, I've just been like about cooking because obviously I cook all the time.
Sure.
But it's crazy when I start to cook and use the things that I learned in the kitchen on how to recycle ingredient. I literally save like $100 to $200 a week. Like it's nothing.
That's a great skill to have. I mean, it's fascinating. It's fascinating when you really look at how far you can make your money stretch when you know what you're doing with
infinitely.
It, you know? Yeah. You know.
I was actually talking to Mom about this. Like in the kitchens, one thing that we do is we don't waste anything.
Yeah.
So when you peel an onion, you have the skin, right?
Right.
When you're using celery, you have the little
Well,
nub.
I noticed that, what you were doing over there. So talk about it.
All
It's
scraps, like stock.
Yeah.
It's called broth, stock, whatever.
Yep.
They are broth and stock are different, but for the sake of this, everyone knows what broth is. In a kitchen, what you do is you need your onions clean for the chefs so they're ready to use them.
Yep.
So usually you have like the commie chefs, they're called,
Yes.
which doesn't mean communist. It means like the common. You know, they'll peel the onions and everything, but all those scraps, you shave the celery to make it really green.
Yeah.
You save the scraps. You peel your carrots. You save your scraps.
Right.
If you walk into a commercial kitchen, you're going to see chicken carcasses, scraps of veggies, and skins of onions and garlic.
Wow.
And the stems of the herbs.
Wow.
In the stock pot.
Yeah.
So rather than using, like, it's called yield.
Yeah.
So if you have an onion and you just threw all that out, you're getting rid of how much percent? Like the root and the skin is probably going to be like a 5 to 10% waste.
And you're getting good food from those like less desirable parts of the.
Believe it or not, that's where, like, when you're making a broth.
Yeah.
Those skins and everything, that's where all the flavor is.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
And you skim it out at the end. It's obviously becomes a clear liquid.
Sure.
But
interesting.
So rather than getting 90% of what you paid for, you're getting 100%.
That's a good point. Yes, I mean
it's just a total science.
Well, I look at what you cook, you know, and you use every possible ingredient.
Literally, I don't waste a thing.
Yeah, and you use each part of it, and you know, I think that's part of the problem. Like you said, is that a lot of people don't have the time that they used to have in the old days to cook.
I would also disagree. People don't have the know-how.
Well, yeah, that's true.
If you have the know-how, it literally is no time at all.
That's a good point. I know for myself personally, like when my mom went to work, the dinners were completely different than when she was home, and it was just she didn't have the desire, so she knew how to cook.
If you have a passion for it, it's a different ballgame.
And I find a lot of people just don't, like, especially moms that do it every day. It's more of a chore than, you know, especially, you know, for her it was like, I'll just, you know, I'm starting work on Monday, so we went from having like chicken, you know, like real chicken, to having like mini drums or chicken tenders, you know. So
that's a shame.
Yeah,
it's the most in most situations that is how it is.
But in the old days,
as an adult now, though, you don't have that appreciation for food like I have.
Right.
I don't know where I developed that.
Well, you were raised. You got to understand. I wanted to also explain that on you know, camera, because it's interesting to talk about. You had a lot of advantages in that area where, like, I didn't have a steak till like a good till I was until I met your mom, really, and went out with her family, and you know,
must have blown your mind.
My wife's family, they were good cooks. But for me, I just remember like going out to dinner and it was not just me, but a lot of my friends also, because they were middle class. It was a similar economic stratus. They would, you know, going out to dinner Saturday night was McDonald's. Sunday we'd get a pizza. And that was it.
I mean, I love all that.
Right. No, but I'm saying, but you had the advantage where you grew up with a grandfather. Right.
Yeah.
That's not
normal.
Right. So a lot of kids, it gave you an appreciation
Like
for
Grandpa
those
would
things.
come home with like
Yeah.
a salami,
Right.
and he would take a knife and he
Yeah.
would just,
Right.
and like as a little kid, I'd get all these like Italian
Yeah.
flavors and stuff, and like
I never had lobster till like I went to Red Lobster when I was in my teens, but certain foods.
I
Trying to
tell you
think.
though,
Go ahead.
things change though when I realized that cooking is science.
Yeah, well, it's your passion. You're talented at
But
it.
when I'm
Yeah.
not joking. I think
Yeah.
that any chef who watches this,
Yeah.
a real chef,
Sure.
will totally understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Caramelization, reduction.
Yeah.
It's literally science.
Yeah.
You're taking the water content out of things.
Right.
You're
Yeah,
a
see, it's-
craftsman,
and
you're building a
it's
house.
an art.
You're building a
cooking
house
is an
of
art.
flavor.
Yeah, I mean it's. I had on Mondays we would have chicken like Weaver chicken tenders
Oh boy.
with fries, and the famous mixed vegetable, which was like broccoli.
Oh, the veg medley. Yeah.
frozen.
Woo!
That
I
was-
still see that in the stores.
That
and
was
I'm like,
that was our veggie of the week. Tuesday nights was like some kind of chicken usually, or like a chuck steak.
not supposed to
yeah.
be eaten
right,
that way.
Right. There's with good reason. After you've eaten it, you can understand it. Wednesday was pasta with Prego. Thursday would be
And Grandpa would eat it,
with
or was he sneaking
salt,
out?
pepper, and a
Jug
whole
of
thing
wine.
of cheese,
Yeah.
and a jug of wine. Yeah, and sometimes he would,
I got some pretty good stuff here
yeah.
on the Bordeaux. You ever try this stuff?
No.
This
But
is
he'd have to have wine. And then Thursday nights would be, what would Thursday be? Thursday would just be like some quick, it could be anything, but a quick thrown together thing. And then Friday was usually either shrimp salad sandwiches, not homemade, but from the store, with a knish, or
Wow. That's
that's
good, actually. I
Yeah,
would eat
that's
that.
not bad. Or frozen ravioli with Prego, and that was it. But that was and then Saturday was McDonald's for dinner. Sunday was a pizza, and that was my whole life growing up. That was it. And then, but what's funny is your mom, who was used to, when she was with your grandparents, better dinners. We'd swap dinners because she was like she never had that.
She never had the
Yeah,
simple.
yeah. And I never had like your grandmother's cooking. I was like, oh my god, I would eat over every night. So
It's funny though, in your line of
Yeah.
work, you had a mentor at one point, right?
yes, yep,
Well, chefs usually have one too.
sure.
And meeting my mentor,
Mm-hmm.
and actually, I also regard this other guy now, Americo. I
Yeah.
talk about him frequently. Meeting those two guys really opened my mind as to what I'm capable of.
Sure.
It helped, and
What's
people-
interesting about you is you like cooking. See, my business, I was on the phones all the time, so I despise talking on the phone. You cook, but you like to cook for yourself.
I love cooking.
Yeah, so it's
See,
a real
that's
passion.
why people
Yeah.
get jealous of that.
Yeah, it's a real passion that you have. I mean,
And that's why I
Yeah.
did so well with it. I mean, and I will again, but
yeah.
it's,
Like I find a lot of chefs, like I remember hearing Bourdain say, a lot of times I just want something quick because I'm so used to cooking that I just don't,
listen, if I'm working
It's interesting.
80-hour weeks,
Yeah,
I'm
different.
going to go out to the pub after work with friends and
yeah,
eat chicken wings.
Sure.
But
If you have
ask
the time.
anyone that knows me that would come here on the weekends or whenever I had
Yeah.
off, I would still always cook. Like,
Yeah.
I still do it to this day. I go to
Yeah,
my
it's
friends and I
great.
cook a big family meal for everyone.
That's great. Yeah, it's something that you
I love
like.
the smell, like potpourri.
Sure.
To me, like the best potpourri is like
Yeah.
the smell of something good on the stove.
Yeah, that's your passion. I mean,
And when it's
interesting.
to quote Marco Pierre White,
Mm-hmm.
who's one of my favorite chefs, the telltale sign of a great chef is that you could smell the restaurant before you see the restaurant. You know what I mean? You want to smell that garlic or whatever, the chicken or...
I would always, and this is probably not a great example because it's not a great restaurant, but there's a steakhouse and it's not even that great. The Good Steer on...
Classic, though.
But you could smell that from...
Like a mile away.
Yeah, and I just,
It's important.
But it was like I would always want to go there when I would.
You see how you remember that though?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Spare rib was like that.
A lot of people also in America have no appreciation for what a real restaurant is.
No.
Because they don't know.
No.
If you go to Paris, let's just say, or Lyon.
Yep.
Not only are you sitting in what seems to be like a cathedral with the Sistine Chapel, like on the ceiling.
Yeah. In
I
like
mean,
a fine restaurant in France, you saying?
Just, you can't even. You know how like you can't comprehend like what 1,000 years will be like from now. Like some people just have no comprehension of what a grand. You're talking about 60-foot high stone ceilings
in a restaurant.
In a restaurant,
yeah,
you know,
it's amazing.
Things like that.
Amazing.
I
don't think a lot of people also have appreciation for what the food is from those places. Like everything has been Americanized.
One of my favorite things is this is done in New York City by a French chef, Daniel Boulud. Another one of my favorite chefs.
Yep.
He does duck à la presse. You ever hear that?
No.
So it's a duck that's prepared, roasted, whatever.
I've never even had duck.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Long Island is Duck City.
I know. I've never had it.
But so he prepares the duck, roasts it, whatever he does, and they carve it. They bring it out. They carve it at the table for you. And they lay it out nice, whatever. And then they take the rest of the duck, the carcass. It's the word of the week, I think.
Right.
The carcass, but it's what it is. And they have this press.
Okay.
It's like got a wheel on the top.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you spin it, and it's like a press.
wow.
So
like
you
a
take
vice.
the carcass and you put it in there. And you press it down. And it literally squeezes every bit of juice out of that duck.
Yeah.
And they have a little stove burner, and they make a pan sauce with brandy or cognac and all that good stuff, a nudge of butter, the juice from the duck.
Yeah.
And they make the sauce in front of you.
That's
like
good.
$1,000 right there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sure it's it's delicious too. Yeah, see, I've never had duck. I've never had,
Duck confit, you ever heard of that?
No. Anything with duck, I'm just not familiar with the meat. Never had it.
One of my favorites.
I like bison. I like.
You would love duck.
Yeah, I like. The name is escaping me. What is the deer meat? What is
venison.
That? Yeah, I love venison. I like all that stuff. So I'm sure I would like it. But
duck is a lot of people. Oh, it's fat, but not if you cook it right. The fat comes out, and you use the fat to fry
good.
potatoes.
I've seen it on TV, and I'm prepared nice.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I love.
It's fallen out of favor in the past 20 years.
Oh, duck has?
In the 70s, it was like eating duck was like the ultimate status.
Well, I used to always hear Peking duck on commercials.
Peking,
yeah, always.
Long Island was an interesting case, though, as you probably know what happened with the ducks here.
No, well, with the actual.
They died off.
Yeah, no, I thought you meant like the food or something. Yeah,
they literally actually executed all the ducks.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
It would have killed like all the ducks in the world.
I know.
It's pretty crazy, but they've come back.
Yeah.
Duck eggs are good even. They have a little bit more of a darker yolk.
Interesting.
Yep.
Darker yellow, or is it like reddish? Like
it's more on the orange spectrum.
Orange? Wow. But it tastes similar to...
I think it's a little more like Robusto, you could say.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what's cool? Those ostrich eggs that you ever see?
That was a big Roman thing.
Yeah.
Romans used to eat that.
And I've never opened one. Do they look similar?
They sell them at Whole Foods.
Yeah, I've seen them there, yeah.
You should get one. Just put it in a frying pan.
Does it look the same as like just
it
bigger?
Does. Yeah.
Wow.
The yolk is like this big.
Wow.
So if you like yolk,
cool
that's for you.
Yeah, I would love to. There's probably loaded with protein too.
I've never had one.
Yeah.
I'm curious
They're
to know.
so cool. I love those things. Like when I see them, I always like, and their shells are pretty tough too. I mean,
I like little quail eggs.
Yeah.
It's great for like an hors d'oeuvre if you want to really blow someone's mind.
Yeah.
At a wedding, you do like some with a quail egg on top, and it's like, ooh.
Yeah. It's very, but food like that, like I said, for me, a great restaurant, and it's not considered fine dining, but like going to Peter Luger's and having a porterhouse where they cut it off the bone and then they put it back. Yeah.
That is great. That's as American as apple pie.
Right. That to me is like, I would.
But you'd be surprised.
But I find it interesting though, like you said, with the foods from the different countries, what we think is Chinese food, what we think is Italian food, it's very different from what we have here. Like, you always watch the Chinese people when they sit in their restaurants and eat. They never eat what's on the menus there.
Yeah.
It's completely
They
different.
have broth with bok choy.
Yeah. I always see a lot of long green, like...
A friend of mine worked for his Chinese family that owned a sushi restaurant in Smithtown.
Yeah.
And one year they invited us to the restaurant after closing for their Chinese New Year.
Nice.
And they made a whole spread of stuff that I'd never seen before.
Huh.
Duck tongues.
Wow.
Like, literally, a giant platter of duck tongues.
Wow.
They're like that big.
Wow.
There's a bone in them. So it's like, it's really hard to, if you're not used to it texturally, like it'll make you gag.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with it, of course.
Did you ever try it?
I ate it, yeah.
What did it taste like?
Horrible to me.
Okay, yeah.
I don't like tongue to begin with.
Well, but you're able to try it. And
I'll try anything.
Yeah, that's great.
They did jellyfish, which is another thing you don't know that you eat. They like literally cut it up. It looks like thin strips of clear noodles. It's jellyfish, a little soy sauce or whatever, sesame oil. It was actually pretty good. Then they did these giant conch things. They would slice them. They were all right. I didn't really like that. It was a little leathery. What was the other thing they did that was weird? Oh, and then that was the first time I had real soup dumplings. Traditional Chinese soup dumplings. And that's like pork and shrimp.
Yeah.
Really good.
Very good. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I had some pretty authentic. And then they took us to this Korean restaurant in Queens where they have this like giant cauldron in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And it's like this flaming hot broth loaded with like cabbage and kimchi and spicy pickled veggies and tons of like lobster tails and crab, and it's a totally different take on lobster. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
It's just very
those restaurants are out there.
Yeah.
It's just that you gotta really find them.
And I've heard that a lot of Chinese places they have a separate menu that you can order from, where they'll make you those foods. I didn't realize that.
You gotta just know what to say.
Yeah.
There's one place right here that makes like an authentic Chinese noodle soup, and like I don't order like General Chow's chicken anymore from there. Like if they have like this braised beef and it's got this beautiful broth and bok choy, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
The Stony Brook area has the restaurants, man.
Yeah.
The Asian restaurants.
I've seen them. Well, that's they're catering to their population over there.
Yeah. If you stop in at this place by where J&R Steakhouse used to be over there, I think it's called Red Tiger Dumpling House.
Yeah, I've seen.
That is my favorite. I think my favorite restaurant that's in the Asian variety that I've ever been to. If you ever get a chance to go there, try the soup dumplings.
Yeah, my stomach is for.
It's not spicy at all.
My father took us. There was a real authentic. I don't know if it was. It was some Japanese. I don't know if it was like an embassy or something. There was some building in South Carolina, and it was they had a real authentic Japanese place in there, restaurant for the Japanese people, and you know where the tables are carved out into the ground. You know, like you sit in with your feet dangle.
Sure.
And I ordered something there, and I couldn't. I like couldn't touch a bite of it, and it's terrible. It's just, I don't have the stomach for it. I'm very, the smell of it, I literally almost, went to the bathroom and threw up. It was terrible. I mean, I just I have a very finicky taste, palate. But I wish that I was able to eat more, and it's great that you can. I watch those shows.
But I mean, if you could eat a giant steak, why can't you eat other things? That's the worst thing in the world for your digestion.
It's not about. I can't. The taste of it, it just doesn't. It does something where literally.
Are you just talking about Japanese food?
Well, that's the only experience that I've had with anything that was really like out of the ordinary. Yeah, yeah, and I like some Japanese, but that was like, oh, man. And
or
all
like
it
you
was
can also
was
eat
seafood.
tomato sauce, which is also like ridiculously bad for your stomach.
It's not it's not that it's bad for my stomach. I can't even get it past my mouth.
I got you.
The taste of it just turns.
I wonder what it was.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I know in Korea sometimes they eat live squid. Have you ever seen
I've
that?
seen that.
And it chokes people
Yeah.
to death every year.
Oh my God.
But they still eat it.
I've seen them do it. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, where it's
Sometimes they
on the
take
plate.
lobster, bring it to the table, like,
yeah.
and like it's like alive, and
I
they
know.
like rip it up,
I
and it's
know.
like you're eating like the fish alive. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I
Some
mean,
of that stuff, I don't know. I'm not really
it's
into it.
tough to, you know, it's like if it's somebody else's culture, it's tough for me to tell them what. But I just think that
I
it's-
certainly have my preferences.
Yeah.
Like I could sit with an Iberico ham
Mhm.
and watch the world end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll just have.
What is an Iberico ham?
It's just like a Spain style prosciutto, pretty much.
Okay.
Where the
So
pig's
it's
whole
cured?
li- yeah.
Okay.
The pig's whole life, all it eats is hazelnuts or.
Oh, that was
or-
what you were telling me
or,
about. Yeah.
chestnuts.
Oh, that's got to be delicious.
And the oils that
See, I wonder if I'd be allergic to that because I'm
Probably.
allergic to nuts.
probably.
So I wonder.
There's no like after like it's
No, but I'm
They
just
don't
saying.
rub it
I
with-
just wonder if there's
that's an interesting thing
Yeah.
to research.
Yeah, I
I
would
would
wonder.
avoid it
interesting.
because the aroma
Yeah,
is overwhelmingly
nuts.
nutty.
You remember I took you to Hoyt Farm,
yes.
and you, of course,
In the wigwam.
yeah, and of course you're the kid that has to crush nuts and heat up nuts, and the smoke was just hitting me in the face, and my breathing was like,
Yeah. That's funny.
So-
I do remember that.
yeah. So
Well,
So I'm highly allergic to anything with nuts. And what's crazy is I love peanuts, where it's one of my favorite foods. So I'm sure I would like.
not a nut.
Right. It's not. It's a legume,
It's
right?
a bean.
Yeah. Which is so crazy. So it's not even a. It's
Nuts
not-
grow on trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beans grow in the ground.
Right. So
Except for
the
green beans.
green beans a tree, right?
Well, no, it's like a little thing that sprouts.
Little
it.
stalk,
Yeah.
right? So really, peanuts are not, because I've always heard that argument that it's
100% not
So it's
a nut.
100. And is it tomato, a fruit, or a vegetable?
Anything with a seed is a fruit.
Fruit. Wow. Wow. So
Vegetables
an
have
avocado
no
is a
seeds.
fruit.
Yes.
So a tomato is a fruit. Wow.
Which
Wow.
was thought to be toxic.
What
for
about
thousands of
cucumbers?
years. Fruit. If it has a seed, it's a fruit.
No shit.
Yeah. So when you're saying you're going to get your veggies and you get tomatoes and cucumbers,
fruit.
you're getting fruits.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Savory fruits.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very interesting. Yeah.
I love it, like in real Mexican cuisine,
Mm-hmm.
they'll take jalapenos and fire grill them
Yeah.
and tomatoes,
Mm.
and that's it. And they just mash it all
Mash.
together.
Oh, it's probably so good.
Imagine, oh God. Just the char.
Tomato is a great fruit. Like, it's just, you could do so much with it. It's so good.
A lot of people don't know how to, like, it's like a big mystery to people, these
Yeah.
canned tomatoes for
Yep.
sauce.
Yes.
If you ever wanted to know how to just make those from a
Yeah.
fresh tomato,
Mhm.
you cut a little X on the bottom.
Yeah.
Not where the nub is, but like on the real flat
Sure.
bottom of it.
Yes.
Little X, little
Mhm.
incision. You boil them for like 30 seconds,
Uh-huh.
and then you
And-
take them out of the water and drop them in ice water, and the skins
comes
just
right
come
off.
right off.
Wow.
And then you could throw those in a pot.
Oh, wow.
Boom. Fresh tomatoes, real
Huh.
sauce, bright red.
Which kind of tomato? Is there a specific
Plum
kind?
tomatoes.
Plum tomatoes?
Roma tomato. You
Okay.
could use any tomato.
Any tomato?
You don't even have to do that. You could take a bunch of cherry tomatoes, throw them in a frickin' pan. But if you want that real authentic,
Yeah.
use plum tomatoes, San Marzano tomatoes.
Well, the cherries, you still have to take the skin off, though, right?
You don't have to, but
No.
who the heck wants to eat those
Yeah.
chewy skins?
Yeah.
But you can do it.
I always thought there was a reason that you had to take the skin off, so it's just because of the texture. That's
Texture,
really why
yeah.
they do it.
Which
Yeah.
is a critical part of eating.
Yeah. Well, I was fascinated, like I said, for the first time I watched somebody make a homemade sauce, and I was like, wow, because that's just one of my favorite foods. It's just, I love pasta with, I love Italian food.
What kind of brand pasta do you buy?
Honestly, to me, it's very,
You don't care?
as long as it's from Italy, I always look for pasta that's imported from Italy. That's,
The Checo is always a good bet.
Yeah, the Checo's good. What else? I forgot what I used yesterday, but it's a good,
The
I always-
Checo is like, if you can get the Checo, you're in good hands.
Yeah, yeah. I like any, like I said, if any food that I eat, and even like olive oil, I like to use Italian olive oil because if you look, they'll have an Italian name on the bottle, and it's it's an Italian product.
And it's
But then when you
imported
look,
from 12 countries.
grapes from olives from Spain, from
Right.
So for me, it's fine if I'm having but when I want to eat authentic Italian food, anything that I eat, I want to make sure it's from Italy. And there's no way of ensuring that 100%. They could say that on the label.
Right up here, there's a specialty olive oil store. If I don't know if you really like oil
I
that
love
much.
olive oil. Yeah.
You know who makes good oil?
Who?
Greece.
Yeah, well, that's it. Spain, Greece, or Italy.
Spain, Greece, and southern France.
I never really sourced French olive oil. I've only
You
seen
know what it is?
Italian
Like
yeah.
Nice and all these places and like the French
Sure.
region
Riviera.
of Provence.
Yeah.
You drive 15 minutes that way, you're in Italy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the
Yep.
same thing.
Exactly.
So what's amazing is in French cuisine, they have what's called a Pissaladiere.
Which is
It's
what?
a French pizza.
Oh, okay.
You think Italian pizza's good?
What do they put on it?
It's essentially like the same dough, but they make this onion, like chutney, like an onion jam savory
yeah.
dough. All over the top of the dough.
Okay.
Then they take anchovies and they line in squares, and then in the brackets that you make with the anchovies, you put black olives,
Oh.
and they roast that in the oven.
Oh, that's probably
Holy,
delicious.
There's no tomatoes. They actually do a provincial
love
French
anchovies,
tomato
though.
tart, which is on puff pastry
Yeah.
rather than the dough,
Oh.
and it's got some Dijon, it's got some.
What you
breadcrumb
just
cheese.
talked about, though, is that's
That's a real pizza.
that's like what I love food like that.
Me too.
I love carbohydrates.
I'll make you one day if you would eat it.
I love bread. I love I
They're all like Sicilian pies.
Yeah. Oh.
But instead of sauce, it's this onion stuff, and it's all like golden brown, and it's spread all. It's
God.
oh my god.
That
so
to me is
that's
good
provincial French. Though.
Yeah, that I would like. That I would without a doubt.
But that's what I mean when I say that Europe is it's really like being in New Jersey. New
Yeah,
York, you know what I mean?
absolutely. It's
their regions.
fascinating. How different though? Like they're the same, yeah. But like the language is different. They're like
Pissaladiere.
That's
how
that
they-
sounds delicious.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's
God.
essentially the same dough.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I love anchovies, olives. I love
Yeah,
onions.
That's what I love.
Yeah, me too. I love anchovies.
And then there's the
That's why I like puttanesca. I always like the
French provincial tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
which you can actually just make in a toaster oven. It's so simple, and there's nothing healthier.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
take fresh herbs and you chop them up, or you can use dried, like the Italian seasoning.
Yep.
You take a tomato and cut it in half. You sprinkle olive oil, salt, and pepper on the top.
Yeah.
If you like,
Wow.
your pink Himalayan salt would be perfect time for that.
Yeah, I love salt.
The best
pepper.
quality salt you can use on something fresh, the better.
Okay.
That, your Italian seasonings, and your special olive oil. Put that in the
Delicious.
toaster oven for like 15 minutes
Yeah.
at 350 degrees and take that out.
Wow.
It's
I'm sure.
godsend.
Yeah. So
Cooking
good.
is simple.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It all starts with fresh
Tomatoes
good
are so
ingredients.
adorable though. You could do so many things with them, and they just
There's like in Spain, like, so it's interesting because you have like Italy here, here's France, and
Right.
then there's Spain over there on that side.
Sure.
And then there's like the Basque country.
Yes.
And France has its Basque region, and Spain has
does,
its Basque
yes,
region.
yep.
And it's like a hybrid
Yep.
of French and Spanish.
crazy.
It's so crazy. The food that comes out of there.
Oh, it's probably off the chain. I'm sure.
Do you ever hear of a restaurant called El Bulli?
No.
It was a Spanish restaurant, but it was actually considered the greatest restaurant
Oh.
in the world to ever. It doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
It was like a temporary thing that like these
Boom.
science guys.
When was it
chefs-
around?
Like early 2000s. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
I was
So
actually.
why
just
is it
watching-
not around?
It was like. That's what made it even more special.
Weird.
These chefs put it together.
Oh, so it's
to
like a
make it like
super group.
a super group, right?
It's like the cream.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
There's a rest. See, like,
It's like the traveling Wilburys are restaurants.
the reason I leave Italy out of the equation
Yeah.
so frequently is because I grew up like with a lot of that,
Yeah.
and also it's not far off from
Sure.
French, and it's not far off from Spanish.
Right.
Really, almost the same thing.
Yeah. Very interesting.
There's regional differences.
Sandwiched between.
Yes,
Very interesting.
but in like Spain, like there's this restaurant that's connected to this volcano,
Mm-hmm.
and the lava runs through. They built this reservoir maybe, or like an aqueduct
Yeah,
for
right,
lava.
right. Yes.
And they put grills over the aqueduct, kind of,
Wow.
and they cook their meats over
the
lava.
Wow. Wow.
How sick is that?
Yeah. Amazing. I just
There's this
fascinated by
chocolate
that
maker
stuff.
who makes these eggs. You remember, you know Salvador Dali at all?
Yes,
He was
yeah.
like really into like the egg.
Uh-huh.
And for whatever the reason, like that caught on in like Spanish art.
Yep.
There was this chocolate maker who actually uses the sun as an ingredient in his chocolate. So what he does is he makes, first of all, he sources the best chocolate in the world. And he makes these chocolate eggs.
Okay.
And they have a little bit of gold paint on them, and it's just done really well.
Yeah.
And he has to take them. It's like him and like his son or something. It's like a really small operation.
Right.
And like they take them and they put them on these little shelves outside underneath this perfect sunlight.
Yeah.
And then when the sun hits at a certain point in the sky, it melts a little hole in the top.
Oh, wow.
And it makes it look so surreal. But they gotta like literally be like lightning fast to retrieve them.
Yeah.
Otherwise the sun will overdo it.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
these eggs go for like $500-$600.
Wow.
Like, right.
Amazing.
It's insane. I
Yeah,
love that
it's
though when you can
very
implement.
different than what you see over here, though. The cooking in those areas, and you know.
In a lot of ways, it feels like the old Wild West things of like how people lived kind of never went away in this country.
Yeah.
Like, that we never, unless you're like super wealthy, I guess, like those people live good anywhere in the world
Sure.
they are. But like the average middle class person in this country really misses out on a lot of
Yeah. It's the,
simple things
It's
that
the
really,
culture. It's a much faster culture, you know.
in some places.
You know, but it will, as far as their views on work and things like that,
Right.
it's just different. You know, it's America is a different place, and it's you know,
Like in Europe, you can sit down at a cafe for
Right.
lunch, have
Right.
4 glasses of
right.
wine,
Just
take a nap, go back to work at like 5 o'clock.
Yep.
I,
Different world. Those and
Europe is slowly but surely though
yeah,
losing that.
that's what I was just going to say.
unfortunately.
Slowly, that's going away, and there's more emphasis on work and things. And
Also,
you know.
things that are terrible. Like, another country I love is Portugal.
Portugal's a
Their
beautiful country.
One of the most
Yeah.
underrated
Yes.
culinary
Yeah.
countries in the world.
Geographically, it's beautiful also.
Forget about
Yeah.
it. It's insane.
Yeah. Yep.
They rely so heavily on the sea. Always
Yes.
have.
Yep. Yep.
And now the fisheries are like not the same.
Wow.
And there's quite a few different.
Why they fished them out already? Or
It's not them.
it's everybody.
The rest of the
else.
world.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like they're very
yeah, they're a small country.
small
too.
country and they're very efficient with
Sure.
what they do with that.
Yeah.
But like you have a lot of China, Japan.
Yeah. Well,
They just like they
Yeah.
between Japan with nuclear reactor
Yeah,
waste
sure.
and China with unethical
Oh,
harvesting practices.
India too. I'm imagining.
India,
yeah.
well, they're just
But
God.
China's.
China's a real bad one.
I know.
So there's some impacts there,
Yeah.
and you got to figure that country is all coast.
Yes.
So the fishing
Yeah.
community was at one point. That's what people did.
It's how they became a world power, and they're so small.
It's like a depressing job to have now.
Yeah.
It's very like every day your bounty is less and
Yeah,
less. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Imagine you lived off the ocean and you
Right.
saw the actual depletion.
Yeah.
It'd scare the shit out of you. There's this cool thing though. If anyone ever wants, I believe it's Anthony Bourdain's show when he goes to Lisbon.
Oh, nice.
And
yeah, I love Portugal. I love watching stuff about it. And,
some of the most interesting drug laws in Portugal.
Oh, yeah?
If you never looked into it,
No.
They don't have drug laws.
Okay.
They just have treatments. You know.
Yes.
Like, so there's this thing in Portugal called the fishwives,
Okay.
and they're the wives of the fishermen, and they work at the piers.
Oh wow. Okay.
So when the husbands come back
Yeah.
with their catch,
They're ready to.
they're like these big
Yeah,
burly
yeah, yeah,
Portuguese
yeah.
women,
Yeah.
you know, big mole over
Yeah.
here, you know, bandana.
babushkas.
Yeah, man, they're just something else. But they're like, now, and Anthony Bourdain was like working with them,
Yeah.
and they were like joking with him though, like he was like one of the
Yeah.
guys. Like,
Yeah,
they're the
right.
guys.
Sure, sure.
They were just ragging on
Yeah.
him, calling him skin and bones and stuff.
Yeah.
I met this guy Pablo when I was in Ecuador, and I can't find him anywhere for the life of me on social media.
Okay.
And he was from Spain, but he was from the Basque
Oh.
country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was one of the he was like the Dos Equis guy.
Yeah. One of the coolest.
Just the coolest
yeah,
dude
yeah.
ever. I met him the day of the World Cup.
Oh, wow.
At the only bar that was open. He was sitting in the corner going like this with his wine, watching the game. And I was like, what the hell are you doing out with the wine for?
Yeah, yeah.
And the first thing he taught me was if you swirl, first of all, swirling the wine aerates it.
Yes.
Makes it more pleasurable to drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yes.
Secondly, if you see a residue of clear liquid that stays on the glass.
Oh, yeah, no good, right?
Bad quality.
Yeah.
That's liquor.
Yes.
That's alcohol.
Right.
Makes for a bad flavor. So just right off the bat, he started teaching me these things. I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Our last meal, he pulls down a bottle of like cognac from like 1898 that he kept on top of his fridge. One shot apiece. It was like ridiculous.
That's great.
I would love to create like
What's he doing in Ecuador?
He was opening up law firms in Peru and Ecuador.
Wow.
And he was just like the most. I'll remember that he was much older. He was probably like 55, 60 years old. And he just tagged along with our group. Like, we loved him. Pablo. It was Pablo.
Yeah, yeah.
He was the one that showed me Iberico ham.
Okay.
We went to he was like, Tomas, you want to see this? He took us to the only Spanish restaurant in Cuenca.
Oh, okay.
The real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner was from Spain, of course. And he introduced me to the Iberico ham.
Okay.
And in Spain, like the most, I know people say England, but Spain, the big drink is gin and tonic.
Okay.
And like he was militant over how the gin and tonic was made.
Yeah, that's your grandfather's favorite drink. He loves gin and tonics.
He explained to the waiter how he wanted it made. And he was like watching him the whole, he was like, screw it. He got up, went behind the bar. You saw him like going into the kitchen, coming out. And he made us the gin and tonics the way they should be made.
Yeah.
And
so he was a lawyer by trade, not a chef.
Who the hell knows what he was at the end of the day?
Right.
But he was awesome.
Yeah.
He could have been a drug trafficker.
Yeah, right. Well, that's...
You know what I'm saying? He was awesome, though.
Yeah.
Clearly had money. And the best part about that restaurant was we sat there, ate like gods.
Yes.
Drank until we were drunk as hell.
Yeah.
And then we got to stay there after the place closed, hang out with the chef owner, and smoke cigarettes and really like old world it, you know?
Right.
It was sick.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
You know what there's a big precedence on, too, in European and, like, Spanish culture? The ceilings of places. As far as, like, you know, like...
The height of them, or...?
No, just, like, there's either, like, beautiful tile work.
Yeah.
In America, you don't see that as much. The walls are done, the floor is done, but the roof is like this.
Right, and, well,
there's something about, like, looking up at some, like, architecture on the ceiling that's like, whoa, that's, like, an extra layer.
Nice houses, they do cathedral ceilings, or they'll do like the plate,
So that was just a little geographical information.
It's cool.
If anyone can find Pablo, please let him know. I'm looking for him. I've been looking for him
Dos Equis guy.
He was, I have, oh my God. He came over with the paella kit one time, like the first time we invited him over. And he had like a doctor's briefcase just with risotto, saffron,
prepped, ready to roll.
Cameron, shrimps, like
that's great.
Real stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like freezer bag.
Sure.
Not freezer, like refrigerated cooling bag.
That's
2
great.
bottles of wine. And then he taught me when you're cooking, you drink 1 beer. That's it. You enjoy yourself 1 beer.
Right.
And then when you sit down and eat, you drink wine.
Drink wine. Wow.
And never pour your glass if you're not going to drink it. You know, some people have like, you never let someone fill your glass and you don't drink it down. It's just like in their culture, it's actually very rude.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Very cool. Very interesting.
A little bit about the cuisine.
Yeah.
A little bit about the travel.
Well, that's your stock and trade, man. That's an interesting line of work, and it's certainly in the last several years has become more and more.
It's actually been a bit of a curse.
What do you mean?
Well, the first question people ask you is, do you watch Restaurant Nightmares or like?
Oh, okay.
What do you think about Gordon Ramsay?
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
There's such a a misrepresentation of what it is through TV.
Sure. Yeah.
People now think that chefs have bad tempers. People now think that chefs are all drug addicts.
Yeah.
And that was
well, that's what happens
really
whenever the media
Right.
gets into anything. They did it with the Mafia and the Godfather.
Right.
Whenever media gets into something, the
It changes the
portrayal,
right.
is what they want.
Some chefs are the most calm, organized,
Sure.
family-oriented.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's a shame.
And of course, but that doesn't make for good TV. The lunatic in the kitchen is what, or the guy with all the problems, or that's
the drug addict
that's
chef,
what,
right? People love it. They can't
sure,
get enough.
Sure.
So, but then when you're if you get angry at something, everyone goes, oh,
Yeah.
and then
I
it's
know.
like an HR nightmare. So
Exactly.
it's kind of crazy how it
Yeah.
all works.
Yep.
So the best thing to do is just be prepared.
That's it. For preparation is always the key in anything.
And the term for
any line of
that we
work.
use is called mise en place, which means
Mise en
in French,
place?
everything in its place.
Okay.
Everything prepared before you start.
That's always a good way to be, no matter what you do.
It's
Preparation is key.
huge.
So-
It is huge. If you don't follow that, you're not going to be a
Yeah.
successful chef. That's for sure.
Yeah. Without preparation, you're not usually going to succeed in anything.
No.
So.
And that's what's cool about being a chef is you start to see all these different principles of things in your life that you can apply
Sure.
the same ideas to.
It's nice to see your preparation come into play as you're using what you prepared. You know, it's
Yeah.
nice. So.
Anyway, that is that. Brief bit about the aliens, not too much. We still, I want to really do my homework on that one because I got a lot of things I want to I want to touch on there.
Yeah.
But that's that for today. Everybody have a great National
Have a
Coffee
wonderful day.
Get really wired, and be safe.
Stay dry. It's supposed
Oh,
to
the
rain.
debates are tonight.
Yes, they are.
Wonder what
They
time.
are. I looked it up, and I looked it up like last week. I don't know.
I guess the Joe Rogan thing's not happening.
No, I don't. I didn't think Chris Wallace is going to be the moderator.
It's going to be totally biased.
Yes. So, but that's
Whatever.
like you said. Preparation is the key. If he comes in prepared for it and knows how, he's got the experience from when he went against Hillary. So
True that.
we'll see. We'll see. But this is the first one. I believe it's 90 minutes. So we'll see what happens.
Should be good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the debates.
Have a
and,
great day.
Cook something, why don't you?